Hello and welcome to another video where I'm talking about Bat Family centered fics this time. Because I don't think I've ever just talked about Bat Family like fanfics. I mean, there have been crossovers, obviously, with like Max Ladybug and Danny Phantom, but even with those crossovers, it always like with Danny Phantom, it always was like with Danny, and it's centered around his problems and it's like we started off with him and we kind of quickly got to the point of the problem before we crossed over with the Justice League and like the Bat Family before they got involved. So, and it was like the same thing with Max Ladybug. But this time, you know, we're starting with the Bat Family. Like they're involved from the beginning instead of, slowly kind of transitioning and somehow crossovering with them. So that is if it is a crossover. One of these isn't a crossover. Two of them, actually, but still. Starting with Better Late Than Never. This one was interesting. Crossover, never expected, and didn't really ever think of, to be honest, but I really liked it. It starts with, like, we're starting with Tim, and it takes place a little bit after the whole Bruce Lost in Time Stream thing, so he's back now, but this is where Tim figures out that his mom isn't actually his mom. And instead, it's someone else. Someone else named Kagome. So, for anyone who's watched Inuyasha, you immediately know where this is going. And I was immediately surprised. I'm like, it's a crossover with Inuyasha. I'm like, how is this? Okay. Don't know how it's going to work, but I'm here for it. So this is where, he goes to Jason first because he doesn't want anyone bothering him. And he goes to Jason first too. And Jason tells him, to be careful because, he did that when he found out his mom wasn't his actual mom. So, he tells Tim to be careful. And Tim is, obviously, but not that it really mattered because he meets, he doesn't meet Kagome first, actually. He meets Shippo. God, yeah. I was like, he meets Shippo, and because he gets attacked by a demon, or yokai first. He gets attacked by them, and he meets Shippo, and he's on the way to Tempo, and this is to Temple, to the shrine. I don't know why I said temple, this shrine, and to meet Kagome. And this is where, it's, Shippo is up like, oh, we're kind of like brothers then. Like, and Tim immediately is like, his first reaction, because, his first reaction with Damien was like, oh, we can be like brothers. And that was like kind of quickly ruined when Damien tried to kill him. So his first reaction isn't, is like kind of curl up a little bit and defend himself. But Shippo doesn't really, don't really try and kill him or do anything like that. So it's very sweet of the entire time of Tim getting to know Kagome and what his real name is, because it's not Tim, but know their like his family and getting to know like what he missed out on and getting to know Kagome's side because he wants to know like why was I given, like, did you not want me? And of course she wanted him, but she wasn't in a position to keep him. She couldn't really protect him, and like her hand was forced because they're rich, and what can she do against them? I'm talking about Tim's parents, by the way, the people who took him in. It wasn't Jack, but so wasn't great, but she wanted him. And Sashomaru is there too, so we're on another level. The only who aren't there to say is like Inuyasha himself and oh my god, I forgot what their names are, but the monk that, and actually by the end of it they got together, didn't they? They're the only three that aren't there basically. But it's very sad that she did want to keep him but couldn't and just wasn't able to. But it kind of put Tim's fears to rest, like maybe he wasn't wanted and maybe, I shouldn't get in contact. It's very sweet. A crossover I never expected. But it's very cute. I like where it's going so far. 1,000 years is a crossover between Max Ladybug, except this is like years after, so Marinette's kind of, Marinette's grown up, she's living in Gotham right now, and she's got all the miraculous back, right? Or miraculi. No, nope. Miraculous is. None of that sounds right. I just, no plural for miraculous, whatever. She has all of them, right? So it's over. And everyone kind of at this point knows about the war that happened in Paris, right? That's kind of what it's referred to. And, so she meets, this takes place during where Bruce is lost in time stream. So Dick is taken over for Batman, and he's currently raising Damian, and Tim's kind of off looking for Bruce, and Dick's trying to stop Jason from causing havoc. So to say he's stressed is, an understatement. But this is between a romance between Dick and Marinette, I should say, and it's very, very sweet to me because Marinette is. We get from like chapters where she talked about it before with Adrian, and it takes like he was a Santa monster, so he kind of he's gone now, so not really much to say. Like, but he's gone now, so hooray! So that's kind of what happened to him, and she really just wanted to get away from everything in Paris, which you can't really blame her. It's awful, not much to want to be with there, but it's interesting to see how Marinette kind of easily slides into their life and fits into there. Because Damien immediately, he doesn't want to take her, but he does eventually. He sees Dick, because Dick's already taken care of him. He took him in, and he's already kind of taken care of him. So he sees Dick more as a father figure, and he also sees Marinette as like a mother figure too. And she slowly, kind of one by one, she starts meeting them, because she meets Jason first, then she meets Tim, because Tim was following her because to know how what she how she is, because her and Dick are dating at this point. And she met Jason completely by accident. It was like a teacher parent night, and she's upset because some of them were on our edge, because Damien obviously they wanted him to bring his real parent, and it's well, okay, first off, that's never gonna happen. So, but she meets him completely by accident. So, and it's to see them slowly kind of come together and be a family to, to work through their issues, to kind of set them aside. And then at one moment, the League of Assassins kind of Talia shows up because, take Damien back because, Bruce is gone. Okay, well, and obviously he doesn't want to go back. He likes staying there with his family. And then we get Tim, he's saying to Marinette, because at this point, she revealed that, because Dick revealed to her, it's I'm Batman, the whole situation. And she reveals to him, it's okay, yeah, I mean, I was Ladybug. He's you're taking this way, you're taking this a lot better than I thought you would. And she's well, I'm Ladybug, so, but Tim reveals to her, he thinks that Bruce is lost in time stream. And Marinette's well, that's not the craziest thing I've ever heard. It's of course I believe you. And then she goes to Fluff, because obviously she can just time travel. And she does, and she ends up fighting Bruce. The whole thing. And now it's real awkward, because Bruce doesn't trust her at all, because, she's an unknown, especially powerful magic that allows her to basically hop through time and to different dimensions? I think parallel dimensions, but allows her to hop through time, basically. So he's obviously very wary of her, and he doesn't really want her anywhere around, and he kind of starts scolding Dick a bit. It's how could you let her around your brother? Well, they're dating, they live in the same apartment. He's I'm not going to kick her out just because you're suddenly back. It's she's not going to hurt any of them. So it's very sweet so far. There's only like one chapter left too. At least they're not blue. This one, it's a one shot. But it's a crossover between with Avatar, The Last Airbender. But again, it's one shot, so it's just with Zuko. And we get with Zuko, we start with him where he's being punished for basically speaking out of turn. So it's when he gets a scar, right? He blacks out. And suddenly he's found by Dick. Dick takes him in, and obviously he has a scar. And he asks, like, oh, who did it to you? It's like, my father. And Zuko, of course, sees nothing wrong with it. He's like, I spoke out of turn. It was my fault. And obviously, everyone around him disagrees because no parent should ever do that to you. So, but we get little snippets throughout the entire one shot of what Zuko's life is like this, living with Dick and meeting the rest of the family. He's like, what is it? Like cereal. He's like, what is this? And he's like, and he eats bat cow because Damien introduces him. He's like, why is he called that? Does he not fly? It's like, so, we also get a moment where, because there's a fire in the fireplace, and he immediately, because flashbacks immediately to the moment where he was burned, and he's terrified. And and they immediately start putting it out, and Dick hugs him, and he's like, it's okay, like, you're going to be fine. Like, they're putting it out right now. And towards the end of the one shot, he asks, like, would you allow me, like, to adopt you? And it's very sweet. The family that Zuko always deserved. It's very sweet, though. But it is a one shot, so it's not like, The Loop. The Loop is on Tumblr, I should say. I don't even know how I found this, to be honest with you. But apparently this is a whole thing where it's like if that family had like a bat mom, and I'm like, what does that mean? And I immediately got sucked into it. I don't know. I went down a rabbit hole. But The Loop, oh my god, is that good. It's where The Loop is where so like Bat Mom is they start off with they just came back from a mission. They have like a crystal ball, right? And it's got like skeleton hands on it. And they're trying to figure out, because they got back from fighting Roz, and they're trying to figure out like, well, what is the purpose of this? Like, what does it do? Like, what is the point of this, right? And Damien says for him, like, oh, we can always look at it later, but for now, we should blow up these balloons for, her birthday, because it is Bat Mom's birthday. So, and they planned a whole extravagant little party that practically half of Gotham is invited to, right? And everything's going well, everything's going fine until she's dancing with Barbara. I'm sure she's dancing with Barbara, and suddenly you start to see the red little, I almost said laser pointer. That's not from a sniper. Oh my god, why am I? But the red light from it slowly start to go up towards your head. And obviously she's the first one to see it, and she starts immediately trying to push her down. And Jason's the second one to see it, and he immediately yells for her to get down. But all is in vain because she gets shot and she dies. It's a bullet to the head, and you're not surviving that, right? And everyone's screaming, running around, and everyone's obviously in shock. And the police are there. They're taking her body, and all of them are, devastated because they just witnessed her die. And Alfred comes over and hands them a music box because it was left for them. Someone had left them a music box. And then it starts playing, and suddenly they wake back up, and it's that morning. And, Bruce, obviously, he's waking up. He's like, it's all just a terrible dream. Like, okay, it's all just a bad dream. And because he sees the bathroom light on and sees her, and she walks out, and he's like, she's perfectly fine. It's like, okay. She asks, like, oh, are you okay? It's like, oh, completely fine. It's just bad dream. Doesn't want to tell her about it. Until the kids burst in, And they're looking at her, and they all start crowding around her, like, hugging her, like, crying, like, oh, you're fine. And that's when, suddenly, okay, it might not, something more's going on. So, next chapter, all down in the Batcave, taking blood samples, like maybe it was a drug that, that was in their system, trying to figure out what happened, what was going on, right? But they can't find any evidence of anything. So, they cancel the party because even if it was a dream, want none of it, right? So they're just like, let's just go shopping. Let's just go to the mall. Take you out, right? So they end up taking her ball, and they act more like bodyguards, constantly protecting her, crying on her, like no one's getting near her. Until, nothing happens. They really finally calm down and start thinking, okay, it was a dream. Okay, nothing bad's gonna happen, right? So they calm down now. They're more at ease until someone starts following them. And obviously, the person notices that they were noticed, so they immediately lunge to start attacking. And so that while they're handling that, and they finally subdue him, someone comes up behind that mom and stabs her. Damien catches her. She's bleeding out. She's dead. And immediately, police are in. Everyone's crowding. Everyone, Jason's cuffed in the back of the car because he took his anger out on someone, and all of them are just devastated because what just happened? Like, we watched her die before, but now again, but like in a different way. So Dick looks up. He's sitting on the curb. He looks up and he sees this demonic figure, right? And it's holding a music box. And he gets the others to look. Bruce immediately starts running across the street to go towards it. But it doesn't matter because as, the music box starts playing, one by one, they all just kind of fall asleep. And they wake back up again. It's the morning, same day. And that just keeps repeating for a couple chapters, and they're trying to figure out what is going on, like how do we stop this? Until they call in Constantine, because of course they do. Magic Man. And it's really what surprised me too was like we get glimpses where Constantine's like talking to Duke and Bat Mom, and she's like, I lost them again. Like, oh, it's fine, they're smart. And in those instances, like you have no idea what they're talking about. It's like, what are you talking? Like you're like I'm confused. I'm like, what do you mean you lost them? What are we talking about? And like heart monitors start beeping. And it's like something's not right here. And of course it's not right. It's because none of it was real. So all of it, the entirety of it, even the loop, was a dream. That the demon, like the demon and everything, that was real. But he had placed it because he's feeding off of their fear until it kills them, and then he feeds off them more, right? And so he placed them all in a dream, and it's like, oh, okay. So once the finally break out, now they're like, Constantine helps everything and get rid of the demon. So once that's finally over, they're still hooked up to monitors to keep, track just to make sure. We even get glimpses of Damien, like he doesn't really want to fall asleep because he's scared, right? And that should be the end of it, right? Until they wake up, and then she's like, it appears to be like the morning before. It's like, oh, good morning. It's like, no, I thought we were done with this. I thought we were done with the loop. I thought we were done with you dying. What's happening? It's very like, oh no, we're stuck again. I see my reflection in your eyes. This one is, it's not a crossover or anything, so this is also one of the ones that aren't a crossover. But this one is where we see Jason. He's kind of just starting out as Red Hood, so he's making a name for himself as Red Hood. And we have Tim. Tim is, so them two are the stars of our family, right? So Tim is living in a crime alley, right? Parents are gone. Not that it mattered anyway, they didn't pay attention to him, but parents are gone, right? So so he's living in Crime Alley, and he's drunk in the alley. He's drunk. Jason finds him, as Red Hood, and obviously he's not gonna leave him there. So yeah, it's okay. Where do you live? And he lives in an apartment. Jason recognizes the apartment. He's like, "That's the apartment I live in." And he's like, "Okay." Takes him there, and he immediately points to a door that's Tim's door. And Jason's like surprised. He's like, "No way," because it turns out they're neighbors. And I say this because they've never met face to face, right? But they've been having they fought over the little mat, the welcome mat that's in front of their door. They keep dragging him back to their side, and they left notes, and it's like they're arguing like children, where they're like, "You're stupid." It's like, "This is what you look like," and it's like a crude drawing, and it's like, "Are you 5? What is happening right now?" So they're like, "What's going on?" It's like, so that's how and he kind of says as much because Tim's smart, so it's not like he doesn't know. He can't recognize oh, Jason's Red Hood, so. But it's very sweet. It's like them slowly becoming. They have a better relationship than they did, where he's trying to kill Tim. Everyone just tried to kill Tim. It's just but it's a better relationship, right? So they have more of a brother. They see each other as family. They're more brothers to each other, considering they practically live together. That's because Tim, just all of his stuff is at Jason, in Jason's apartment at this point. So, but Tim kind of helps him, because he's real smart. So he helps him behind the screen, but he wants to do more, and he wants to help Jason, on the field. But Jason refuses. He absolutely does not want that because he doesn't want to be like Batman. He doesn't want to have a Robin. He doesn't want anything to happen to Tim. He doesn't want anything to happen. And Jason obviously battles with the pit madness and kind of feeling, going off the rails and thinking he is truly a monster. Tim obviously doesn't think that and tells him as much as I don't think you're a monster. It's I don't think that at all. And it's very sweet. It's very, I like it. It's very, does that count as found family? I feel like it does. I don't know if it, because they're not related or anything. And the entirety of Bat Family, I feel like is just found family anyway. None of them are related, except Bruce and Damien. But so I feel so it's just the two of them. It's very sweet to me. But that's all I have for today. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.